Today we're configuring a mobile Wi-Fi router. The device I'm using to illustrate today's video is the Huawei E5573. The SIM card have been installed. To configure the device, please take note of the IP. Once you have taken down your IP, you can now insert your battery. Make sure that your SIM card is inserted. You can now return your battery and switch on your device. The first thing we will do is I'll show you how to connect to this device using a USB cable. We will now use a USB cable to plug in our device. The beep indicates that the laptop detects the device. There's also a notification over there that will tell us that the device has been detected. The flashing light over there will indicate that the battery is charging, and the green light over there with the signal indicator, that indicates that our communication is online. If it was yellow, it will show that the signal is lower. If it's red, then there's no communication, then the connection is down. Once your device is plugged in, you can now go to your computer. Over there underneath devices and drives, you will see your mobile Wi-Fi, and you can click on it and click auto run. Yes, the device driver will install, and then you can use the device. You can see over there it disappeared, and now you should be connected. Automatically it takes you to the web page of the device. So once we install the device, it automatically took us to the IP. Please take note of the IP. Username and password is also located underneath the battery, which in most cases for Huawei devices and most other networking devices, it will be admin, and the password will also be admin. This is usually case sensitive, so make sure that you type the password lowercase. You can now log in, and the device will take you through a 3-step configuration. The first option is to auto download updates. You select that and press next. There will be a default SSID over there which you can change, but we'll just press next for now, and then it will ask you to change the password. We'll type in the current password, which is admin, and we will type in our new password that is more secure. Thus the device will not allow you to go on the default password. Please take note that you may use the device without even configuring it. You can use it on the default settings without configuring it, and then you can connect to it via the Wi-Fi. Once you have logged in, you would be on the home screen where you would see that your network, your service provider, you'll see your connection type. As you can see over here, it is 4G. You can turn off the device there, and you can turn off the data over there, the mobile data. Over there you can select Wi-Fi extender, and the device will work as a Wi-Fi extender. You would connect it to your Wi-Fi and then just extend the Wi-Fi with it. But today we won't use it as a Wi-Fi extender. We will just look at changing some settings on it. So firstly, we'll go to settings, and we'll start from the top, dial up. We'll go to dial up, and the first setting we will look at is your mobile connection. In South Africa, most of our service providers use a secondary service provider for data roaming in cases where you are in an area where there is no towers for your service provider. So we will enable data roaming and we will apply the setting. Take note of the message that popped up, which tells you that you may be charged extra for data roaming. Please confirm with your service provider that this is not an additional charge on your behalf. Once we are done with the mobile connection settings, we can go to the profile management. If you do need to change the profile name or the APN, this is where you would do it. Usually with all our service providers here in South Africa, the APN will be internet in lowercase. But if there is a case where your service provider tells you to change the APN in order for you to use the internet, you would type it in there and you would apply it. But for me, there is no need to change the APN as it is set to the default and working. So then we'll move on to the network settings. Network settings are both set to auto. We'll click the drop down and see what options we have. As you can see over there, we can set it to 2G, 3G, 4G or auto. We're leaving it on auto as this allows the device to select the network, the preferred network as it sees please, depending on the connection in the areas. The next setting you will look at is network search. It's also set to auto, which we will leave it as is, because if you change it to manual, if your device loses connection, you would have to turn it off and on again for it to search for the network, as it would not search automatically for a network if it lost the connection. We'll close the dial-up box and we'll move on to Wi-Fi extender. Like I explained, this feature allows you, it's turned off by default, but this feature allows you to extend your current network, your current Wi-Fi network, using this device. We will not be using it as a Wi-Fi extender, so we will skip that setting. We will go to WLAN and we'll go to the basic settings. The wireless LAN basic settings consists of the SSID, which would be your network name, your Wi-Fi name. So you can change it over there. Over here you can see, if I check for the available Wi-Fi networks, you'll see there's Huawei -D366. So we'll go back to our internet browser and we'll change the name to tech.000. We'll keep the security as WPA2-PSK, as this is the best security for us at the moment. The pre-shared key would be the password that is located on the inside of the cover. The pre-shared key would be the password that is located on the inside of the cover of your mobile Wi-Fi router. If you do not want it to be the default password, we can change it over here. Notice the small indicator over there for password strength. You can also turn off the SSID broadcast. This will allow you to hide your Wi-Fi. So if we disable SSID broadcast, as you can see, if it's disabled, you must enter a valid SSID to connect to the Wi-Fi. Then you will have to set up the Wi-Fi manually on your devices. This is also another manner of security, so that no one that doesn't know the Wi-Fi can connect to it, and you will have to set it up manually on each device you connect to your Wi-Fi. But we will leave it as enabled so that we can broadcast our Wi-Fi. As you can see, success, we have changed it. We can now go back to our connections and let's just turn it off. turn it on. As you can see, the Huawei is not there anymore, and we have TechTat000 now. We'll go back and I'll disable the SSI broadcast, and I will apply that setting. You'll see there's success. Let's close that and let's check if we can still see our Wi-Fi. Let's just switch it off. Let's switch off the Wi-Fi and switch it back on. Let's switch it on, and we should now see that our SSID or net or Wi-Fi name is not being broadcast anymore. There's no TechTat000 anymore. So we'll go back and we'll enable it again, apply the setting, which was successful, just to confirm that that has worked. Let's refresh. And we should see our Wi-Fi again. There we have it, TechTat000. The little lock over there tells you that the Wi-Fi as a password or as security is a secure network. If you didn't have a password and it was an open network, that would not have a lock over there. So once we have done with that, we can now go to our WLAN advanced settings. Over here we can see the working band, which is on 2.4 gigahertz. We can also change it to 5 gigahertz, but not all devices supports 5 gigahertz. So if you are sure that all your devices works on 5 gigahertz, you can change it to 5 gigahertz, as it is the better frequency band for Wi-Fi. But because we know that all our devices supports 2.4 gigahertz, we will leave it as is. The channel we will leave as automatic. You can set it to 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10, but that could cause trouble in a case where someone else close by is using the same channel. In a case where it's auto, the channel can change, and that would prevent any clashes. And we will move on to WLAN MAC filter. Over here, this is another manner of securing your device. What this does is, each of your networking devices or each of your computers that can connect to the internet has a MAC address, also known as a physical address. If you know this address, you can enter it in here, and if you enable this setting, WLAN MAC filter, this will allow you to only connect these devices that is listed in here. If their MAC address is not listed, they will not be able to use the internet. Let me just give you an example of a MAC address. So we'll go to network and settings. We'll go to the Wi-Fi, and we'll go to hardware properties. Underneath your Wi-Fi properties, you will see there's physical address or MAC. That is your MAC address for your Wi-Fi interface of this laptop. No physical address are identical. So if you enter that in there, this will allow you to only allow these devices that you have listed in here, and no one else then has access to your device or to the internet via your device. Our next setting we will have a look at is DHCP. Let me just click on that. As you can see, the first setting over there is IP address. As I showed you earlier, the device has a specific IP address which you use to access the web interface with. So if you do want to change the IP address, the default IP address, you can change it over there. If you do disable the DHCP server settings, devices connecting to your Wi-Fi or to the device manually will need to enter their IP address manually. So if it's enabled, the device will give each computer, laptop or cell phone that connects to it a IP address. Here you can see there's a setting for DHCP range, and it will, as you can see over there, um, as you can see over there, the DHCP IP range starts at 192.168.8.100 and ends at 192.168.8.200. So any device connecting to the Wi-Fi or even to the device physically will get an IP address between this range. But I hardly doubt that you will use this device for 100 users at any given time. So when you look at your IP address setting, here you have an option from 1 to 255. The same with that one there. And over here you have an option from 1 to 254. We'll change to .10. And over here you have an option of 192.168.10.1 up to 99. As you can see over there, 100 will be in the IP range until 200. So you wouldn't want to use any address between 100 up to 200. You'll use 1 up until 99 or 201. So anywhere from 201, 201 up until 254, because 255 will be a broadcast address, so you wouldn't want to use 255. So we leave that at .1 and we'll apply that setting. Notice that it tells us the device will restart to change that setting. So we will be kicked out and then we'll have to log in again. Notice the beep. It notifies us that the device has been disconnected and then connected again. As you can see, it opened up a new web page automatically once the device came online. And also notice that the address has changed to 192.168.10.1 instead of 8.1. So now anyone can open your device and see the IP address, but that would not be the correct IP address. We'll go back to settings. Notice that it asks us a password. We will have to put in the new password we entered in the beginning. We would not want to save this, so let's press never. We'll go back to WLAN, DHCP, and we'll just have a look over there. So the IP address is now been changed to 192.168.10.1. Let's close that drop down and we'll go to security. The first one we have is PIN management. Please take note that this PIN is set on your SIM card. So whichever PIN you set here is for the SIM card and not the device. So if you do remove the SIM card and insert a new one, that SIM card will not have that PIN, and you will just have to insert a new PIN and press apply. You have 3 attempts. If you get it wrong on the third one, the SIM card will be blocked and you will need to enter a PAC. So moving on from that, we'll go to firewall switch. As you can see, the firewall is enabled by default. As you can see as well, WAN port pings are also disabled. You can deselect that tick over there and then you can enable WAN port pings. You can also enable IP address filters and say apply. Okay, you can see success, and then you can go to LAN IP filters, and you can now put in your own access control lists or IP filter. You will not be filtering any IP addresses, so let's move on to the next one. Virtual server or port forwarding um, is what it is known as. Um, if you have any servers on your network, you will use the setting to allow any traffic from the internet to be directed to that specific server or computer on your network. Um, yeah, we won't be adding any virtual servers here, so we will skip that setting. As you can see over there, that is also to allow any special traffic to come into your network. As you can see there, allow the operation of special applications such as online games or conferencing. This is for specific type of traffic that you need to redirect. DMZ settings or demilitarized zone. Um, as you can see, that is for, I'll read it out loud for you. If a PC cannot run a network applications through the gateway, enable the DMZ function and enter the IP address of the PC below. As you can see there, it's disabled by default, but if you do want that feature, you can just enable it. You can do some more research on that if you want to understand what a DMZ actually does. I won't go into it any further. As you can see, this router supports the SIP ALG function. You can reconfigure that port over there if you want to. You can also disable it by removing the tick or enabling it by clicking on that tick. We won't have much discussion over that, as not something we do use. We will have a look at it further in the future. The next setting we will have a look at is the universal plug and play setting. Most of our gaming consoles requires us to enable this setting. um, as you can see, by default it's disabled. If we do enable it, it's just clicking the radio button there and applying the settings. We'll leave it as enabled. For more information on that universal plug and play feature setting, you can read up on it on Google. The last setting under security would be our net settings. You have two options here, cone or symmetric. As you can see, symmetric is for high security requirements, and the cone feature is for a lower security, but it allows some applications to perform correctly. As with the higher security, it will obviously block some of your applications that you run or websites that you go to. We leave it as cone as we don't require the higher security. And our last tab would be system. Let's first check the device information. As it says, that's just your basic device information, device name, the IMEI. As you can see over there as well, that is your LAN address. And our last one is our WAN IP address. So if you do require to know what your WAN IP address is, you can go to that information. The next setting would be to modify the password. Please take note that this password is not for your Wi-Fi. This password is the password you use to log into this web interface. We already changed this password when we logged in initially. It forced us to change the password. As I told you, the default password is set to admin. The next tab would be for restore defaults. So over there you can just click restore defaults and it will go back. All the settings we entered will be changed back to the default. For now we leave it as is. Our next option is to reboot. You can reboot the device from here, or you can switch it off over there and holding the button until it switches off. Our last tab over there is to update the settings. As you can see, the first setting is to allow the device to update without logging in. The second one is to automatically install critical updates, and the last one is the auto download, which we enabled initially when we started the device. We'll go back to our home screen. As you can see there, it gives you some status on the WLAN. Wireless LAN is on. You can switch it off. And there's 0 users connected to it at the moment. Like I told you, I'm connected via the USB. It tells you on the kilobytes sent and received and the duration we've been online. Now next tab there would be statistics. It will also give us a duration on how long we've been online, the data that we have used. It will also give us a list of the connected WLAN clients, the IP addresses, the IDs, the host name, the MAC address, the duration they've been connected, and the operation. There's a tab there for blacklisted users. The next tab is SMS. As you know, we are using a mobile network, so same as with your cell phone, the SIM card allows you to send and receive SMSs. USSD allows you to check your data bundles and those type of things. There's also an update tab where you can manually update your device. So we will now restore defaults. Let's click OK. And the device should now be back to the factory default. Our IP address should be back to 192.168.8.1, and our passwords should also be back to the default passwords. The device drivers that you installed earlier on the laptop, that won't change. You will still be able to connect to the device physically. As you can see there, we're back to the factory defaults. Admin, and we are now logged in. It's asking the 3-step update configuration again, but we'll cancel that. Thanks for watching.